This is the Fuel Your Life podcast, where we help you find, unleash, elevate your leadership in order to create a loving, impactful, freeing energy within you and around you. And now for your hosts, John Troutman and Charles Draper. Well, hello there, and welcome back to the Fuel Your Life podcast. I'm John Troutman, alongside Charles Draper.
Good morning.
If you can't tell, it is pretty early morning. We got the dark screen this morning.
That's right. And I'm just disclaimer, I'm not driving. We are on vacation, and I didn't think this out very well. So the best spot for me to be right now is in my vehicle. So
sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. So still showing up. That's what matters most.
That's right. So
yeah.
How are you, man? How's things been going?
Dude, it's good. This is we are just after Easter weekend, which is it's fun. I think Easter often sneaks up on me, and it still somewhat did this year. But we were able to, we had a Passover dinner with our family, a modified Passover dinner, definitely, which was really neat and fun to do this year. And then we had a big Easter breakfast, which was nice to just kind of celebrate the Passover and on Friday, Good Friday, and talk about how Jesus is our Passover lamb and how that relates and the symbolism there. And then Sunday, get to have a nice big breakfast to celebrate Jesus rising from the dead. So it was cool. But it's been great weather, and we've been outside a lot, so it's been good. How you doing?
I'm good. We're on vacation. Typically, after our Easter sunrise service and all church services, we normally go down to the beach every year and have a week vacation.
That's nice.
Normally the school year lends itself to that because we have this week off, or I can take this week off. I say it that way. But yes, it's just been a busy weekend. I think we crammed about everything we could into 3 days. We had a couple girls come over and stay the night. Thursday night, Friday went up to ASU, watched some softball, and then came home and cleaned the house and had choir practice Saturday morning. And for that, had 30 people come over for Elizabeth's third birthday party. And
nice.
Sunrise service Sunday, and then drove down to the beach and with all the things. Now we're down here, and now we can relax a little. So, but it's so excited to be here. Yeah. The beach, excited to get some time to relax, refresh, kind of recharge. So.
Yeah, hopefully you do get some relaxing in.
Yeah.
So
things are good. I guess we have weather's nice right now, but it's supposed to. You guys are calling for some snow up your way pretty soon, huh?
Yeah, it's 70. It's going to be 72 or something like that today, which is Tuesday. And then Thursday, we will have snow. Only calling for like an inch, so we'll see how much we actually get. But, yep, we will get snow on Thursday. So about a 30-degree drop over the next 2 days. It'll be awesome.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
I guess.
I am kind of excited. I'm ready for the spring weather, but we live in Boone. And if anybody knows anything about Boone, as soon as you start getting that spring weather, the cold's right around the corner, and you're going to get more of it, and then it's going to get warm again. So,
yep,
that's the way it goes.
Well, good deal. Well, so I got a question for you. Then, just, we've talked a lot about leadership development, and just, actually a number of topics, but it's kind of how we kicked it off in our first couple episodes. So, a lot of times we talk about what we need to do as leaders, kind of taking it from a different perspective. What are areas or pitfalls that leaders need to watch out for? Or even just things that leaders need to be aware of? That's kind of where I wanted to take the conversation this morning.
All right. Things leaders need to be aware of or watch out for. So the first thing I think I would say to that is being overly critical. So I'll explain a little bit what I mean here, but I think often as a leader, you're constantly seeing areas of improvement. You could nitpick on every little thing. It's easy to nitpick on every little thing because you're seeing how it can be better. And that comes out to other people. I did this, I've done this. I sometimes still fall into this category, but um, often because we're so critical on ourselves, we project that onto everyone around us, whether we're within an organization, family. We start getting really critical on everyone else without even realizing it. We're just projecting what we're doing to ourselves because we constantly are searching for something better. We want to improve, and so I think that's one of the pitfalls of having what a lot of people call growth mindset. But when you have that desire to improve and to be better, you're often pretty critical, even on yourself, and that comes out on other people, and that just beats other people up. Yeah, I've been there and done that too often.
Yeah.
It builds on other people. So being overly critical, maybe in a similar vein, but a little bit different, is discouragement. And I don't mean like giving discouragement, but being discouraged. And this is a tough one when I think about it. But as a leader, you're going to have days of discouragement, no doubt. But you still get to choose how you show up, is what I would say. And so you, as a leader, when you're discouraged and you're showing up being discouraged, everything you're leading, the whole organization you're leading, all the people you're leading, they're going to see it. The energy transfers. And so they're going to be discouraged. They're going to think, man, I'm not doing a good job. Or they're thinking this isn't worth it because that's the energy you're showing up with is, this isn't really worth it anymore. So I'd say those are two big ones off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you think?
Well, no, I mean, I like what you said there. Just, the overly critical and then being discouraged as a leader. I think definitely any time that you lead, the discouragement's going to creep in, right? Or doubt, it's kind of too. But being discouraged, getting down about something, maybe a project you're doing didn't work out the way you wanted it to, or so forth and so on, and just finding that grit, that fortitude to push through, to keep going. Yeah, I like both those in the way that you frame those. And the overly critical piece, I think great leaders are always reflecting, and they're self-reflective, and they're probably harder on themselves than others. But then, if that's the standard you hold yourself to, it's super easy to start looking at those within your organization and also starting to pick them apart and doing it from a place of, well, I'm just trying to make everybody better, but doesn't make anybody better. It drives everybody out the door. And next thing you know, you turn around and nobody's following you, right?
Yep.
There's nobody that wants to be on your team because you just beat them all down. And no, I definitely like those. So mine, I would say, just as, I mean, you hit on two really solid ones there, but I would say, I'd say doubt, which kind of ties into both yours really well.
Yeah.
I think just as leaders, you have to believe in your vision, your mission. You got to believe in the direction you're going, and failure, setbacks can let doubt creep in.
Even thinking about that, but doubt would sit as the foundation of both of what I said, or could, anyways. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, because you think of even being critical. Often, the reason we're so critical is because we doubt ourselves or we doubt the people around us. Um, and even discouragement is partially it's because doubt creeps in. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And yeah, so I just and I guess in thinking about doubt and thinking about just that discouragement and those kind of things, like the opposite of that is just belief, right? Just belief in what you're doing. And I guess, so we have March Madness going on, right? I don't know if you've watched any of the games. As I get older, I
Oh yeah.
watch less and less games, basketball games. That being said, and maybe that's just me, but I always end up watching like the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight, definitely the Final Four if I don't catch anything. But right now, you have Caitlin Clark in the women's realm, and Angel Reese, and they're just doing some pretty cool stuff with the women's college basketball. And then you have all the ACC teams right now creeping up. Go ACC.
If that,
Doing some pretty cool stuff, and so just a lot of excitement, right? Like a lot of underdogs coming up and winning and different things. But every year, whenever I watch March Madness, every year whenever I get into the season, anytime I get into a playoff season with any kind of sport, whether it's hockey, whether it's no matter what it is, you see players and you see two different things. You see players just have tons of confidence and belief in what they're doing, especially when they play at this high level. And then you also can see players that go flat. And whether and you see a couple bad shots, or you see another player get in their head, or you see something go awry that they don't expect, and the way they respond to that kind of dictates the outcome. But as I've been watching, like just belief, like whenever doubt creeps in, whenever circumstances or hardships creep in, like just believing in the cause that you're moving in, believing in what you're doing, having belief in yourself and the skills and the things that you've been working on and developing. I think about the basketball players. So last night I watched Caitlin Clark play Iowa and LSU, and it's just amazing to watch this girl shoot.
yeah, she's pretty incredible.
I mean, the girl is shooting 3-pointers. They say from the logo. I don't see any logo where she's shooting from, but I get the whole point of them saying that because it's very deep, right? I think her average 3-point shot was like, I don't know, close to 28 feet. The 3-point line is 22 feet, so she's taking some pretty deep shots, right?
Yeah,
but she comes down the court and she has practiced. She's put in the work. She's put in the work equity. She just believes in what she's doing. But not even that, she believes in her teammates. So I don't know. So just as we talk about, doubt, discouragement, those kind of pieces, as we talk about just being overly critical of others, I think about those things, and all those things can easily erode your belief in what you're doing. Can easily erode your belief in yourself or your belief in others within your organization. And I don't know, if you want to see an organization crumble pretty quick, get a bunch of people walking around that don't believe in what you're doing. And that's a good way to mess up an organization, I believe. So I don't know, John, what some thoughts on that? Or
Yeah, I'm gonna hang it with the sports analogy, the basketball analogy for a few seconds, anyways. But I even think about like in the midst of a game, momentum is always such a big deal in any sport, but basketball, especially college basketball, you see momentum start to happening, and all of a sudden you see these big runs that teams will make. Actually, the NC State Duke game, we watched on Easter. NC State made it to the Final Four. Listen, I don't cheer for NC State very often, but I never cheer for Duke. And so anytime Duke loses, it's a good day for me. And but the Duke was up at halftime. I mean, it wasn't big lead, but they were up at halftime, and NC State came out and just took it to them the second half, honestly. Um, and I bring that because the momentum swung, and you saw it from like the first possession of the second half. The momentum was starting to swing, and it just built and built and built until all of a sudden Duke just couldn't do anything about it. They were just too far behind. They couldn't make a basket. And the way you respond in those momentum swings will make the difference. And I'm not going to, I mean, just to be clear, I'm not saying anything about Duke as a team, because Duke actually had a great team this year. I hate saying that, but they did. And they responded to momentum swings throughout the year, and they played really well. But in this game, they couldn't respond to the momentum swings when they needed to. And you could see the faces of the players starting to change as the time got shorter and shorter and shorter, and become more and more discouraged because they were recognizing their season was about to end. And for a few of them, their careers at Duke were about to end. And I bring that up because you're right. Like, once that doubt really hits, game is over. And you see it in their shots. Like, they still may look confident, but they're awful in their shots. They're not taking as good as shots. They're forcing shots. And we do the same thing within our organizations. So I won't continue to go through the basketball analogy, but organizations, families, whatever it is, once we start doubting, whether it's doubting ourselves, whether it's doubting our vision, whether it's doubting the people around us, I think we start taking bad shots, if you will. And I'll use even myself as an example. I've worked really hard and continuing to work really hard on developing clarity around the vision for myself, for the organizations that I lead, and for the, I say organizations, but organization I lead and the people I lead more specifically. And I like, the vision is just this, it's really just an idea. And I don't want to harp too much on that, but I've struggled as of late of, man, is this really a good vision? Is it really compelling? Am I really stuck to it? And all of a sudden I find that my weeks are kind of thrown off, and I'm focused on things that aren't as important to me and aren't what I really want to be about, but they're just things that I'm getting done, instead of focusing on the things that are truly important. And so we start getting off kilter. We start taking bad shots, if you will. And I've seen that for me personally, and I've seen that in organizations. I've seen that with great leaders and with not so great leaders. And all that comes from you starting to doubt. Like, really, when you get down to the foundation of it.
Yeah, and kind of what you're saying too is just you get distracted.
Mm-hmm.
So I think another thing you got to watch out for are the distractions. I think it's very easy as leaders of family organizations, all the things we talk about, just to get distracted and to get busy with the things that aren't moving us forward. I mean, I'm guilty of that. Here recently, for some reason, so I don't mess with my phone too much, and what I'm going to tell you is why I don't do that. So, put some farm game on my phone. I don't even know what it's called. It's silly. My girls were, hey, Dad, yeah, whatever. And so I put it on there, and like, you plant crops and you buy things with crops and stuff. And I just don't do it. And my kid's like, oh, you're going to download it? Oh, cool. And I was like, yeah, whatever. So put it on my phone. And man, like, I ain't gonna lie, for like an hour or so, like, that thing just consumed me. And Beth's just like, what are you doing on your phone? I'm never on my phone. So she's like, what are you doing on your phone? Why are the girls huddled around you? Like, oh, we're just playing this game. And an hour turned into 2 hours, turned into, and Betsy's like, really, like, I need you off your phone. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, nothing. We're just playing this game. And she's like, I'm going to take that thing off. I said, you probably need to. So anyways,
Okay.
By bedtime that night, it was off my phone, and I looked at my girls, and uh, they were like, "Dad, we didn't know that you like playing games." I said, "I do. That's why I don't put them on my phone, because it just consume all my time."
Mm-hmm.
But just a small example of how like everything is fighting for our attention.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's whatever, fill the blank in. I mean, even people that are advertising things, social media, all the different things are fighting for our attention. And the the question is, what are you going to give space?
Mm-hmm.
So what are you going to allow to distract you? It doesn't mean it's all bad, right? But is it actually moving you forward into what you need to be moving into? So I think just watching out for those distractions. I know in the education realm, there's always new fads, new initiatives, and you can get caught up in doing every initiative under the sun. And I think I mentioned that in previous podcasts. And next thing you know, you're doing nothing well. So just really being careful not to be distracted either, because I think we can get distracted and we can spend a lot of time on things that do not move our cause forward.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, we all do it. So I mean, it's just so easy to get lost in the world of distraction.
Yeah.
So let me ask this question, maybe throw it back at you. But you find yourself as a leader, whether this is, again, family, organization, you can think of it, whatever realm you might be. You find yourself as a leader and you just recognize that you're at this point where you kind of doubt everything you're doing right now. What's your first steps on that?
Well, first you got to recognize it, right? And I think that's sometimes the hardest piece, because but once you recognize that, hey, like there's a lot of doubt going on, I don't, my belief is waning, is maybe the way I'm gonna say it. Not my belief is lost, or not not that I no longer have belief, but it's slowly, that fire's losing sight. So I'm not a huge list person, but I know sorry. But I know whenever I get in that space, I got to start making a list of things that I need. I know whenever I've hit goals in life, or that kind of thing, just sitting down and listing out the things that I have to get done that are super mission essential tasks, maybe, are things you could call them. Just list them out and then start checking them off. And then just remembering your why. I'll go back to that. But sometimes in that season of doubt, that's difficult to sit in. So it depends. I mean, so I've done both those, just remembering that why, keeping that at the forefront of your mind, reminding yourself, why am I doing this? What is my just cause in this? What am I moving into? But then even more practical, I think, just listing, like, I need to be doing this. And I mean, really, I'm not talking about like take out the trash. I mean, it could be things like that, but also it could include like, save, encourage 5 people today.
Mm-hmm.
It could look like a number of things. So it may be just encouraging others. It could be positive self-talk, jot down 5 things you're thankful for. It could just be sitting in that gratitude for a little bit, and shifting that mindset. Because I think whenever you get in that season of doubt, it's all mental, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's all between the ears. Things could be going great. You could be hitting all the numbers you want to. You could be meeting all your goals, but then it's between the ears. And I mean, I go back to sports, and a lot of the sports realm it's mental. I'd say the majority of the successful athletes that you see, they're not just, they put in the time, they put in the work, they've done, but they can stand the mental game. They can stay in there whenever the other team goes on a 10-0 run. They know that we have the skills and ability to come back. We got to slowly get back in our rhythm, and they figure out how to do that quicker than others. So yes, I mean, I would say Whenever you get into that, I'd say remember your why. Start making lists of things you need to do, and more so than that, on that list, put things in there that can change your mindset, because you're probably in a pretty negative state of mind, and you're probably you're letting the doubters be louder than the believers at the moment. And so you need to surround yourself too with people that believe in your cause and that can encourage you in that space. You don't get around the people that are like, this ain't gonna happen. Like, good luck, buddy. Stay away
Yep.
from those people, because they're
Yep.
out there. There's probably more of those than the other.
It's true. You know, there's a book that I have read most of anyways. And it talked about the three main fears, and it was the fear of failure, the fear of success, and then the last one was fear of judgment, which actually was really interesting to me. And the whole point being that we fear, our greatest fear often, and what holds us back is what other people are going to think. And it's not, honestly, it's usually the people closest to us. I can't tell you how much, even like my parents, my mom actually will probably listen to this episode. So thanks for listening, Mom. Um, and I love my parents, but I can't tell you how many times it's like the thought goes through my mind of what are my parents going to think? And in some ways that can be a good thing, but in some ways I'm like, man, are they like, do they really believe in me? And they do. But that's what, we wrestle with. And those are the biggest fears that we have sometimes. Um, and I bring that up because I think it's the people closest to us that have the ability to build us up or tear us down. And we need to recognize that because you and I both, we're dads. Our perspective is going to matter on our kids for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
And, one day our kids are going to be sitting at 36 years old, and they're going to be sitting here saying, oh, what are my parents going to think? Like, are they really believing in me if I'm going after this? And, wrestling with that as well. And so anyways, just that fear of judgment often holds us back, and to surround yourself with the right people is huge. And I say this, we're talking about belief. I tell my students this all the time. And most of the time, I this is very real. Sometimes I struggle with this, but I believe in our students that I'm investing in more than they believe in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I could say the same about like you, actually, as a close friend. I guarantee you, I believe in you more than you believe in yourself. And I would say you probably believe in yourself quite a bit, but I guarantee you, I believe in you more. And I can say that about most of my close friends, and people that I really know. And that's huge. But you need to find those people, because you've got the opposite side, and the people who they'll say they believe in you, but then they show up and it's like you can feel it, it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'll stop there and let you respond. But
No, I mean, I think that's good. And I guess whenever you were saying that, I thought, um, not only that, but like, how do you let others know you believe in them?
mm,
I mean,
uh,
and I say that because the statement you just made about me, like, I've never heard you say that.
mm-hmm,
But I also know, like, we've been good friends for a while, and I mean, I believe in you. I mean, we have this friendship, and we have this trust and belief in one another, and I know that, but we've never just articulated it as such. Does that make sense? So,
yeah, it'd
like,
be weird for us to articulate it too. We're
yeah.
always
I
making
mean,
fun of each other, so
yeah. If we're not making fun of each other, then something's wrong.
yeah,
Um, but but I know. I mean, but really, like, how how are you making sure that others know that you believe in them?
yeah. And that's a question I wrestle with, and I'll try and share, but it's still something because I Actually, I think it was one of our good friends that I first heard say this. I don't know if he said it about me. I don't remember, but he has said it about me before. But sarcasm is like my love language. And of course, that's not true at all. Sarcasm is not a love language, but I love sarcasm. I think it's fun. And but what I've realized, and I will say this has been within the last 2 years probably of starting to realize this is yes, sarcasm's fun and it's not very beneficial most of the time. And so I have to kind of temper because there is a reality of when you have fun, it brings people in, it helps them gather together and makes them feel like part of a community once you can start making fun of people. Um, but at the same time, you've got to temper that with encouragement and that's a huge piece, encouragement. So to show that you believe in people, it's a mixture. Man, and I hope I hit this well. So let me try and gather my thoughts a little bit. But you've got to have the words and you've got to have the actions that show it. You can't just say it and then not actually follow through with the actions that are showing, hey, I believe in you. And so I was thinking about this the other day of how campus ministry is really an interesting organization. We meet once a week together. Then we have smaller meetings of our students. But we expect everyone that we have very little touch points with, as a whole anyways, everyone to rally around this singular vision and mission, which the idea is that this is coming from God himself, really. And then they're going out. I mean, our goal every week is we come together and then you're going out. You're going out. And we're sending you to these places. And I bring that up because our organization will not succeed until we get ownership from our students, until they start taking the ownership of what our ministry is going to be. And it's always fun to see that happen. But I say that because you can't give ownership until you actually believe. Like that's one of the biggest actions is giving someone responsibility and ownership over anything, but giving them that ownership and then stepping back and letting them have it. And it's tough. It's tough because it's not going to get done the way you want it to get done. Often
Yeah.
not going to get done to the level you want it to get done initially. And yet you have to be able to step back and let them have it because that's showing, hey, I believe in you. What do you think?
No, I mean that's good. That's yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's still something that I ponder is um how I'm making sure people know that I believe in them, and I do. I don't think it's just coming out and saying it. I think it can be powerful though, right? Um, I mean, when's the last time that you've told a student that you're mentoring, like, "Hey, I believe in what you're doing." There's power in that language. I had a conversation with a couple of teachers not too long ago. Um, some scores that come back the way they wanted to and whatever, and they were fairly new teachers, and I just point blank looked at them and I said, "Listen, like I can tell y'all are worried," and they were they were newer to my organization, and I said, I can tell y'all are worried. I said, but here's the deal, like if I wanted to get rid of you, I would. I said, but I believe in you guys. I believe you're part of this team for a reason. I know you are. You're gonna grow. You're gonna get this. Like I have no doubt in it. And these scores don't reflect that yet, but I know the work that you've done up to this point, and I know what you're gonna continue to do. And I see that desire in you to grow and get better. So don't worry. Like yes, like we're filling these scores right now, but like don't worry about it. Like we're good. Like just keep doing what you're doing, and it will come. Like trust me, it will be there. And come on, another person on my administrative team was in on that conversation. And after that, she said, like that was a pretty powerful conversation. I said, but I meant it. Like, that I did. I said, if I didn't want them on the team, like I'd find a way to get rid of them. But I do, like, I believe in them. I believe in the team that we have. I believe that they're a super important part of that. And, that they walked out of the room with their shoulders up and their head held a little bit higher than what they did whenever they came in. So just the power in telling people that, like, not them having to guess, like, does he want me on the team? Does he not? Like, but as a leader, let people know, like, you are on this team for a reason. And so I think that's super powerful, but then just also through your actions. I mean, like you said, the way you talk and interact, all those things either build confidence in your organization or it can deflate it. You mentioned earlier, the attitude that the leader carries, if we're in the season of discouragement and doubt, we can walk through the building and everybody feels it. It's kind of like the old saying, if the principal's sick in the building, everybody's sick in the building. If I walk around mad and ticked off, everybody's going to walk around mad and ticked off. Like, what you as a leader, and even in the household, right? Like, if I come home and I'm in a bad mood, very quickly everybody becomes in a bad mood. I'm like, why is everybody so upset? Betsy's pretty quick to remind me, well, you started it. So I don't know, but just like your attitude, your actions, your demeanor, all that reflects into how everybody performs. Same thing, like, going back to March Madness, man, if the coach is over there sulking on the sideline, crying and upset, Lord, the team probably isn't going to go far in the tournament, because it's going to be it's just going to be projected throughout the organization. So.
And you said it there, you meant it when you told them, your teachers, this. And boy, you can say you believe something all you want, but if you don't believe what you say you believe, it's useless. And I've walked through this of trying to convince people that I believe something that I really didn't believe, and it doesn't work. They see right through it. And at the same time, when you can sit there and it's genuine, it's delivered differently, like you say it, your voice is different, your mannerisms are different. They know when they're walking away, and you said their head was held higher, like your voice matters. And when it's real, when you're saying something you really believe in, it's going to hit different. And so when you can sit here and say, which brings to the question of when you have those people around you that you don't believe in, what do you do?
Well, I mean, you got to be honest with them, right? And I think that's where the rubber meets the road. So a couple of things. I'll say there's twofold. You have to be honest with them. You got to have a real conversation. I've seen too many times, and I've done this. I've worked through this where I've tried to build somebody up, and it was really a bunch of false positives. And I thought, oh, I'll be nice, I'll be kind. But for whatever reason, whatever task they were trying to complete, whatever they were working with me on, they just didn't get it. Like, it just wasn't there, right? So, and through building those false positives, you end up in more of a mess, because then you got to dig out of it while they're thinking they're doing a great job and so forth and so on. And it's maddening. So, if you're listening right now and you're in that space, like we've all been there, just take a step back and do the hard thing and just be honest. I've had to do that. I've had to walk and say, listen, I may have been feeding you a lot of false positives here lately, but I'm just going to be honest with you. Like, A, B, C, and D is not going well. You're not doing it well. How can I help?
That's a good response.
And so then, because at that point, I've been part of the problem too, right?
Yeah.
I think the biggest part of being a leader is recognizing that if you've been building people up through false positives, you're just as much at fault as they are, because odds are they want to do a really good job, and they want to please you. That's why they're continuing to do the things that you've been telling them, hey, good job. Hey, that's awesome. Hey, great. And then you go back in your office and you're like, oh, that was horrible. I don't know why they're doing a horrible job. Well, you're telling them that it's good, right? So you're just as much of the problem right now. So if you're listening to this and you're in that space, the best way to correct that is to sit down and just have an honest conversation, and not to say, hey, you, but look back and say, hey, I'm sorry. I've been building you up in this. I've messed up. It takes the blame off them and puts it on you, which is where it rightly should be if you've been doing that. And then say, hey, how can we do better? How can we do better, and how can I help you? And that may jumpstart something amazing within this person, because they're probably feeling it too. What you're feeling, they're probably feeling. But they're continuing to do the things that you're. So anyways, I do think that, I think you gotta have that honest conversation. I think you then have to say, can I build their capacity? Are they coachable? And walk through that, because I'm all about capacity building. I think an individual that you haven't tried to build their capacity, then that's a leadership fail. Then because you then have an opportunity to grow somebody's capacity. And I think that's what we should be as leaders, capacity builders. So if you haven't walked into that space, then they didn't fail, you failed them. And then after you've done that first season, if you're still getting the same results and they're not coachable and they're not hearing it, and you can say, if you can lay your head down at night and say, I've done everything I possibly could to build their capacity, they're just never going to get it. Then it's time to find an exit strategy for them.
Anything.
And I say it that way because, it's not that we're just cutting them loose. Good luck. Like, find an exit strategy. Help them find another space where they can thrive in, whether it's an organization, whether it's in another sister organization, or whether it's something completely different, but help them be successful in another space.
Yeah. That was a great answer, actually. That was a really great answer. I say actually, there's another practical thing. Don't say actually very often if you believe in people, because it undoes what you just said. So that was a great answer. And I love showing up and being able to sit here and say, wait, I haven't been honest. So have the honest conversation, and then how can I help you? Which is a powerful response, to sit there and be able to admit you were wrong, and then second, say, I'm committed to this just as much as you are, so let's work together. That's awesome. But then you said one of the biggest questions you can ever ask is, are they coachable? And I say that because I've been around people, I've been working with people, I've been surrounding myself with people at times where they're not coachable. And I'm sitting here trying to invest, or trying to coach or trying to build, and they're just not interested. They would say they're interested at times, but they're just not. And you talk about, doubt coming into you as a leader when you are surrounding yourself and you're trying to lead people who are not coachable, who are not willing to grow and invest in the way that they need to. You got to start finding that exit strategy, because it's not worth wasting your time and beating yourself up over that when they're just not ready yet. That day will come, or they'll surround themselves with people who they will listen to, or something like that. It may just be, kind of that relational dynamic, for whatever reason it's not working. But you got to separate yourself from that, because that will eat you just as much as it eats at them. Yeah, that was good. No, go ahead.
No, I mean, it's just good stuff. I think it's powerful to talk about what to watch out for. It's like anything, right? Like we, just in the healthcare system, right? You talk about, like, what are signs and symptoms of sickness, right? So you're looking for those, and you're trying to, once those start creeping in, you start taking more vitamins, you start, I drink a lot of orange juice. That's just something I do. But I think it helps. I think it's more mental than anything. But anyways, like, like you start doing things once you see these signs and symptoms creep into sickness. So as leaders, I think we have to be in tune with that, like when, when are things starting to, when are distractions coming in? When is doubt creeping in? When is that belief wavering? And then how do we respond? And not just sit in it, but how do we respond, and how do we take an active part in responding to that, so that it doesn't just completely get us off kilter. But too, like, I'll say this kind of in closing, because I know our time's getting tight.
Yeah.
But in closing, like, how do an organization that can weather the storm, their strength, and they have a strong leader if they can weather that storm. But even more than that, the leader can't do it all.
Mm-hmm.
Once individuals within the organization start weathering that storm with them, then that gives the leader, that gives the whomever is in charge, the ability to continue to lead in a strong manner, because they can fill in that gap for a period, maybe whenever things are tough. So I think about that, and so I don't know. So if you're listening to this, maybe you're in that season of doubt, maybe you're in that season of unbelief, maybe you're being overly critical of yourself and everybody in your organization, or scaring everybody away. Maybe you're feeding people false positives, and you just need to have some honest conversations with people within your organization. Maybe that's what's going to help you to level up. And maybe that's why you're plateauing. Maybe that's why you don't feel like you're moving forward. So maybe you're in that space, and hopefully there's one, maybe two things at best that you can take from this podcast today that can encourage you and give you something practical you can move into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. And we'll close right now, but we appreciate you listening. And good conversation, man. I love it. One question and I just kind of leaving this with this, but most people who are probably listening to this podcast, you're probably following Jesus. We've talked enough about that if you're not, you're probably not listening to us very much anymore. So, a question that I wrestle with all the time is, do I believe that God believes in me? We talk about believing in God all the time, but man, sometimes we got to ask the question, do we think God believes in us? And you talk about building capacity. I think God's a capacity builder, or potential builder, if you will. And so it's a question to wrestle with, and we're going to leave you with that. But hey, I appreciate you showing up on your vacation.
Yeah, man. It's been fun. Hey, I wouldn't show up if I didn't enjoy it. So
That's right.
I'm here chatting with you, and it's fun. So
yeah, good stuff, man. All right. Well, we appreciate you. Hey, if y'all have enjoyed this, please subscribe. It helps us out. And we enjoy having this conversation. So thank you for listening. We'll talk to y'all later.